Hello everyone, welcome to another tutorial series from Anonymous Engineering, and in this series we're going to talk about Fusion 360 CAD software. So let's get right into it. Fusion 360 has a very similar feel to other CAD softwares. On the side panel we have where the file management is done. On the top menu we have where the most of the CAD functionality is done. It's got a workspace contextual drop-down menu where you can select between different workspaces. It's very much similar to that of Siemens NX. So we got the modeling workspace, we got the patch workspace for the surfaces, we got the sheet metals, we got the rendering, and the rendering can be done either locally, which is free, or on the cloud, which you have to then buy credits from Autodesk. Then there's also the animation. The animation can be used for exploded views, for assemblies, or for conceptual presentations of some mechanism. Then we got the simulation workspace, where it's relatively basic to some of the other more advanced CAD softwares, but it still uses the Autodesk Nastran solver and FEAs such as just a simple linear FEAs. Dynamic FEAs or nonlinear FEAs can be simulated on this. But one of the most important and a lot of the times more useful features of this software is the CAM. So it actually uses a pretty sophisticated CAM solver, and the CAM is used for routing, CNCing, machining of any type, and for this price it's an extremely useful feature of the software. And any CAD software that's worth its salt it has a drawing feature. So in the drawing feature, the drawing can be done from the design, which can be a single component or an assembly, and it can also be done from an animation. The drawing then can then be exported to DXF or PDF or even sent out for printing. On the bottom menu here we have the timeline. So the timeline is where the history of the operation is kept. And Fusion is slightly different than other CAD softwares in which you have a hierarchy of features. In Fusion you have a hierarchy of history. So every single thing you do, its history is kept. So if you want to move some object around, if you want to create a sketch, if you want to create a feature like extrusion, you can see its history on the bottom. And obviously, since it's time like history, you get the play button and the previous step button, or the beginning button, just like a regular timeline. Let's say if you're watching a movie or something. Then there's another menu here, which is the browser menu. In this menu you have access to the components, and these components can be an internal component or it can be an external component which you've imported into an assembly. And it also gives you access to the bodies, sketches, and usually pretty much everything here has this icon of the lamp, and you can basically hide that subsection by just clicking on this lamp. Most of the functionality for each workspace can be found on the right hand side of the top menu, and especially for modeling, a lot of them are self-explanatory. We have the sketch, create a sketch feature, then we have the individual commands where you can add to the top menu. For example, here we have the line. If you expand the drop-down menu, you can see a lot more features. Different ways of creating rectangle, different ways of creating circles, arcs, polygons, even slots. And I can basically add each one of them to the top menu. One of the more important features of Fusion, and in recent CAD development in general, is the freeform modeling or live editing, basically. So for example, you can you can modify an already existing feature, such as, let's say, hole, or you can add, maybe you can move some faces around, or you can align them. A lot of them can be found in the modified drop-down menu. Other CAD software, such as Siemens NX, has the same type of features. I think they call them synchronous modeling, where you can modify a CAD after the fact it's already been created. So you don't really have to go down its history and change the subsequent features. It's also very useful and handy for times where you're importing an already made CAD from generic file types, like such as step files or IGES or any other CAD files, where you don't have access to the underlying features and you don't have access to the history, but you want to change some features. You can easily do it with the modify menu. And we're going to go over all these later on in more detailed tutorial sessions. Then there's the assembly menu. Again, you can create joints, you can move the individual components around relative to each other. Then there's the construct menu, where you can create construction objects such as planes, axes, points, to help you model a more complicated geometry. And then there's the inspect tool, which is where you do your measurements, your zebra analysis for surfacing, and if you want to see if there's an interference. There's insert, where you can add the pictures, decals, and there's make. So make is a little drop-down menu that can make it easy for you to actually make your part using some of these newer technologies such as 3D printing. And then you can also create your own add-ons or get already made add-ons that other people made in the Fusion 360 app stores, and some of them are pretty cool. We can go over that later too. On the bottom menu of the viewport here, we can see some of the tools that is mostly related to the 3D rendering and the viewport. So basically, we got the zoom to a window, which I can just select the window and zoom to it. I got a pan. I got the look at, which it goes normal to the face I select. So since I don't have any faces selected here, I can't really look at anything. And then I can go to the display settings. I can switch from orthographic view to perspective view, or to perspective with ortho faces. I can divide my viewport into multiple views. For example, some of them showing the left view, some of them showing the right view. And I can change the grid settings, so the grid spacing, the major and minor ticks. And for example, let's say we want to go to the top face. We can just click on the top, the orientation wheel right here. And subsequently, what we can do is that we can zoom in, pan, and also rotate, which can be done like this. You might be wondering how I'm doing those with just a couple of easy keyboard and mouse shortcuts. So if you roll your mouse wheel, that's a simple zoom operation. If you click your middle mouse wheel and drag it, that's a pan. And if you hold down shift and also move the middle mouse and press and move your mouse with the middle mouse click, you can see the orientation change. Okay, so this has been a simple introduction to what Fusion 360 is about. Hopefully in the next episodes we can go in more depth in some of the more interesting functionalities of Fusion 360. So please don't forget to subscribe, and thank you.